Good morning, it's Dan. I hope you're well today. So let's talk about my week away in Bali at Billionaire Bootcamp with Chris Howards. So as I'm sure many people know, I've been away for the last kind of week or so over in Bali, which is quite a long way to go to for a personal development session, but so totally worth it. And in this video I'm just going to break down what it is, what you do, what you learn, and the benefits that you're going to get from it, and that kind of thing. So obviously it's a long way away. I mean, the first flight was 9 hours, and then the next flight was within 55 minutes of landing, and so you're kind of worried, am I going to make that flight? Oh yeah, you'll be fine. So you book the flights, and the flight was late, obviously, because why would it be on time? And once it landed was like you had 5 minutes to get there, basically. So I picked up my bag, and your suitcase just goes in the hold, and it just magically finds its way on the plane. But I had a handbag, a rucksack, and sprinted like a bat out of hell to go get this plane. Got there, huffing and puffing, like this is Qatar, because we go via Qatar. That is a run and a half. I reckon it's at least a kilometre, at least. And you're huffing and puffing. Thank goodness for CrossFit. Anyway, got to flight on time before it took off, and then it waited 30 minutes for all the other people off the other plane that I was just on to come onto it. So I'm like, oh, I didn't actually need to do all that running. Anyway, then got on the other flight, and that was like a 9-hour flight, and then got to Bali. So that's what, 3 different time zones from Barcelona to Qatar, although that really wasn't a time zone because it wasn't there long enough. And then over to Bali, and then I really struggled with jet lag all the way through this week. But actually, what I thought was quite interesting was that the jet lag actually helps you get better breakthroughs, because you have this kind of woo-woo feeling where you're not really sure what planet you're on, and so I actually found that really useful. And so, Billionaire Bootcamp, it's a bit ostentatious with the name. What sort of things do you learn? I saw someone comment on Chris's post when he said, "Oh, running Billionaire Bootcamp this week," and people go, "Are you a billionaire then, Chris?" And like, of course not a billionaire. But this is the bit that really annoys me. It's like, so let me get this right. I have to be 100-aire, and then 1,000-aire, and then a millionaire, and then a 10 billionaire, then a 100 billionaire, and then a millionaire, and then a billionaire. You can't learn the values of billionaires. You can't learn the skills and the strategies that they've implemented that you can then implement in your business until you become a billionaire. Is that what you're trying to say? That really doesn't compute to me. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, you're on your journey. I became a millionaire back in 20 years ago. We had, a lot of property with £1 million worth of equity. It didn't feel like a millionaire, that's for sure. Still don't half the time. But it's like, how are you supposed to grow, and how are you supposed to aspire if you remove your ability to learn from other people that have gone before, as Chris would say, standing on the tall shoulders of giants that have been before, right? And so that's the whole point of it. It kind of annoys me, but I guarantee that the people who say stuff like that are nowhere near millionaire status anyway. And to clarify, why not? Millionaire status to me is equity of £1 million. If you sold everything, you'd have £1 million tomorrow. You're not tomorrow, because property can take a while. But once you sold everything and you got £1 million worth of equity, you're a millionaire, right? We hit that back when I was 30, over 20 odd years ago, and we've been creating it ever since, and we've been building on that ever since, And so this is not the first time I've done Billionaire Bootcamp, but interestingly, the first time I was doing it, boy, I was in such a mess. Because we've gone through such family court issues, and it was just really, for me, it was survival. I was in Portugal. It was, and I still know people, by the way, from back then, all the way back then. And for me, that was just pure survival. That course probably ended up saving my life, really. And then the last Billionaire Bootcamp I did was in Santorini, which maybe 5 years ago. And again, that was transformative as well. And then after the pandemic, this Billionaire Bootcamp has been utterly transformative. And by the way, I say it's been utterly transformative. We actually don't know that until we see what results we're going to get. So already we've changed our business up. We looked at what the budget was for the delivery side of our business, and then we're looking to recruit to increase that budget. And also we took on an affiliate manager to manage our affiliates to help us generate more cash flow. So like already instantly we've had some changes, but the changes you won't really see for some time to come, right? Because, you know, if you want to grow muscle, you don't go to the gym one weekend and then next day you wake up with extra muscle. Like you do, it's a tiny amount, but nobody else will be able to see that. It takes years, right? So you kind of don't get to see that. But the sort of stuff that you're learning is in the values of billionaires. So like, for example, let's take Warren Buffett, who's lived in the same house and he drives the same car. And one of his modal operators, how he sees the world, is through sameness. He goes via his local McDonald's every morning for his breakfast. McDonald's like twice a day. He's got the same car that he's had for 8 years. And so one of his model operators is sameness. He does the same thing every single day. He reads the same business analysis every single day. The only thing that's different there is the names of the businesses are slightly different. So let's take another one. Let's take Richard Branson, for example. He's always a good one. So Richard Branson is like fun, adventure. He puts his staff first, customers second, shareholders third, right? So like he has to have a lot of fun and adventure within his businesses. A lot of his businesses are lifestyle businesses, which complement his lifestyle, which is quite an interesting thing. So we go through and we look at all these different billionaires. We might look at Oprah, for example. We might even kind of glance over Trump, because there's some aspects of Trump, but you're like, yeah, actually he's got some really good aspects. He's got some really bad ones as well. But then all billionaires are flawed, by the way, just as you and I are flawed, right? We all have our own little flaws in one way or another, stuff that affects us as we go through life. And so that's worth pointing out, it's worth learning. And it's not that you're going to learn everything about Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Donald Trump and then you have to be those people. That's not the point. The point is that you look at, for example, adventure and fun from Richard Branson, and I'm like, I need to add more of that into my business. Sameness, looking at business reports for businesses that we might want to acquire, and having the same set routine on a morning, for example. Shower, coffee, CrossFit, breakfast. That's my routine every single day, and then my day starts at 11. And so that's interesting. But I don't want to just be like Warren Buffett. You don't want to just be like Donald Trump. Hell no. And you don't want to just be like Richard Branson, but it's about looking at and analysing these people and seeing what makes them tick. Now, interestingly, when I first came out, and I still think this, by the way, I wasn't necessarily into looking at billionaires, because the financial aspect, as I've got older, is just one angle of wealth, right? So you've got health. Warren Buffett, I mean, he's 93, but he eats 2 McDonald's burgers every day. That's really not where I want to be. And yet Richard Branson plays tennis and he goes kite surfing, and so his health is looked after very, very well. So for me, it's about also knowing how to look at other people's values and knowing how to study these people and pulling out the things that you want. So for example, as I go back to CrossFit, I'm going to look at some of the CrossFit guys and seeing what they're doing, especially the older ones in my age group, and seeing what drives those, so I can pull out those, not fitness routines, but their mentality around what that looks like. I used to do this with basketball. When I was going on court, I was Michael Jordan. In my mind, like nothing could touch me. In fact, I was the quickest on court, I was the best shooter on court. Whether or not that was true is irrelevant, because it's true in my mind. It doesn't matter if it's true on the court. But often, guess what happened? It came true. And so this whole mindset shift of how you show up day in, day out, that's been one of the big shifts for me. One of the other things that we do quite a lot of is, and by the way, we're just in a tunnel, so I hope you can see this okay. Just hit that. Oh, yes, fine. So one of the other things that we do is we do a lot of writing. So we look at what a certain topic might mean to us. So for example, with money, we will write about money. What is money? I'm not going to give you questions, but there's 4 questions that we ask. One of them is, what is money? and this is to do with Cartesian logic. If you've done NLP before, that's to explode your viewpoint in all fours and make it not true, like these negative beliefs. But anyway, there's a lot of keyword or writing about various topics that you think might slow you down. So for me, for example, in fact, I'm actually not going to say what it was. I'm not going to give that away. So it may be that you have an issue around money, or you have an issue around wealthy people, or you have an issue around food, for example. It's a good one to do. Like most people listening to this will probably have an issue with food at some point. And it's like, well, how do you go through that process? And it's about writing about these 4 questions about food, and then you're looking for words that are fueled with emotional energy. And then when you pull up those words out, you write about those words and you put them into the 4 Cartesian logic coordinates, and it blows it out of the water, the transformation process from a mental point of view. I mean, I did a lot of writing one night, and I went in the shower the next morning because I woke up, went in the shower, boy, and I thought I was going to be sick. Like I felt like I wasn't, but I felt like I was going to purge all this kind of negativity and all of that kind of stuff out. So that was very valuable. So one of the other things that's important is the people that are on the journey with you. And during this session, there's about 25 people there, which was a really nice number. Not too small and not too big that you didn't get to speak to everybody. And we pretty much did get to speak to everybody, so that was really nice. And the first one I did was like 75 or 100 people. Then the one 4 or 5 years ago was maybe 8 of us, which was really nice as well, by the way. Different, but again, really nice. And then this one was really nice as well. But the important bit is that the people that you meet along the journey, and we're all at different stages, by the way, and we all have different attitudes, and have gone via the wealth journey in a different way. Some people have gone for businesses, some people doing crypto or stocks and shares, some people doing property like myself, and business, I suppose. And one of the big things for me is that, like, the wealthier that you get, the less you talk about money. No one's talked about money all week. Like, I know that sounds bonkers. No one's talked about money. No one's talked about how much they earn or how much wealth they've got. I've not spoken about it. Nobody else has spoken about it. We'll talk about different things with the business. And people have got wealth, because of how we show up. And, the villa that we're staying in, for example, on my last day I got invited to, it was at a hotel resort, but he got invited to one of the guys' villas, and it was just beautiful. Him and his wife was there. We just had a coffee before I was going. We invited me over, and that was so nice. And again, it's not about money at all. In fact, it's about attitudes and values and strategies, and we all have different things going on at different times. And so this was really wonderful. People at various sections of their wealth. And in fact, 3 of the girls who came from New Zealand came with their mum. And they were like 18, 19 and 20, and they came with the mum. And I'm like, that's amazing. I mean, I've got a daughter who's 18. And so one of the things that we did was we played Cash Flow 101, which is the Rich Dad Poor Dad game. So we played Cash Flow 101. And they'd never come across income and expenses and assets and liabilities. The mum had a little bit, but the girls definitely had. So I went through and we explained that, and then they picked it up really quick. And for them it was just mind-blowing, but they'd never seen that before. And then for me as well, it was really good, because it's all, teaching other people is such a wonderful thing to do if you want to learn how to do something. And I got really fresh learnings from that game as well. Like, really fresh learnings from playing Cash Flow 101, which I've not done for 4 or 5 years at least. And that's really interesting too. And so people are like, what, you go to Bali and you play board games? It's like, yeah, these are the learnings. And like, understanding about, see, this is the bit that's really confusing for people. People want this, you do this, then you do that, and then you do this. They want a how-to guide, like a set of ingredients on a recipe. That people can people can then implement in their own business. That's not how it works. That's not necessarily how you could become a billionaire. Maybe getting to 100, 200 grand status, yeah, but then after you get past that point, the whole level of thinking has to be far, far different. And so, you know, in my business, for example, I easily get stuck with clients. With, oh, Dan, can you just do this? And you want to be helpful. So, yeah, I'll do that. And then you got stuck in a conversation. But really, one of my team should be doing. And so one of the biggest things that I've implemented this week is, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Because I can't go and grow the business and help more people if I'm getting stuck helping 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? We want to go out and help 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people. I can't do that dealing with individuals. I can from the top level, but my team is in place in order to deal with that. So that's one of the big shifts that we're implementing. So let's talk about learnings for the week then, shall we? Definitely one of the learnings for the week is to implement my team better so that they handle customers better so that I don't need to, but can be called upon to get a more top-down view. Very happy with that. Love that as a concept, and that's what we're going to implement. And then allocating resources. So this is like you have a chessboard, and we all have a chessboard, okay? And we've got a set number of pieces. It might be 5 grand, it might be 10 grand, it might be 20 grand, it might be 100 grand. But how a person decides to use those resources is more important than the number or the amount of resources that you have. So if you've got a limited budget in your business, you've got a budget, right? If you're earning income of some kind, you can choose where to spend that. You can go on holidays. And one of the things I was asked this week, what, you go all the way to Bali and you didn't see any of Bali? What a waste of time. And it's like, that's right, for you it probably was a waste of time. For me, the values I'm going to get out of that, the value of that course over the next year or 2, it's going to be invaluable, right? It's going to be priceless. And this is how people shift. You and I could go to Bali, but we would get different things from it. One of the things that we got was a spiritual waterfall experience. And, you know, if you know me, you probably know that I'm not overly spiritual, shall we say. Not the most spiritual cat on the planet, you know? So that was interesting. And that was done at the end of the week, and you do all your writing, and then you get your fresh learnings and your new belief systems, and you work out what you've dropped or what you're about to drop, and then you work out what you want, and then you embed it at an unconscious level, right? So you go through that process, and then you go to the waterfall, which is beautiful, by the way, and very spiritual. It's Bali, they say prayer for you. It's not my cup of tea, but they say prayers. And you see some people go in head first, and water's going over them, and guy's pushing them in, and he's doing a little thing behind the back, spiritual thing. Some people go in and they yell, or they scream, or they shout, and for them, that's exactly what they needed. And I said this on the Facebook post actually, and then you get other people. I spoke to one woman, and she said that she didn't want to shout and scream, and she got under there, she was, you know, for the release of past selves and past things that have hurt you in the past, right? And I wanted to be a little bit different, so my intention was that I'm going to go in. I'm not very good with cold water, especially when it's going over my head. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to be very calm, actually, and very peaceful. I'm going to allow the old skin to shed and go through this rebirth through the waterfall. I put my head under, very calm, and my breathing was wanting to go, you know, I'm kind of hyperventilating a bit, struggling with the water. Took control of the breathing, like I'm about to take control over my future. Very calm. Then you go to the next waterfall, then you do the third one, and absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Is it worth, I mean, I was going to say, is it worth going there just for that? And it kind of is, but you don't really go just for that. You go for the other stuff, and you can't get to that until you've done the other stuff. So unless I'd done the writing, I wouldn't have got the benefit out of doing that one either. So my butt hurts from the 20 hours of travelling home. It's a long, long way. I have to go get the car, and then you got to drive home, right? So my butt is hurting. But let's talk about is it worth it? Is it value for money? And you know what? That's such a subjective perception, because, you know, for me, 100% worth the time, worth the cost of going out there, worth the hotels, worth all of it, right? But we don't really know what we're going to get back off it. So it's like, it's a really weird thing. On one hand, you've got to bet on how you're going to get value out of it. So obviously you don't know. But I think it's bigger than that, because really you're not betting on that. You're betting on personal development. You're betting on yourself. And again, as I wrote in a Facebook post this week, I don't think there's ever been a personal development course that hasn't benefited me in some way and helped me increase my wealth in some way. And wealth, by the way, can be positive mindset, could be refuel, could be financial strategies, long-term views, could be values from billionaires or millionaires. It could be better relationships, it could be better health. And so all of this will come through for sure, right? These better relationships are definitely coming through. Already I can feel a shift for me with my relationships. And also, we've got another toll leaf. And also your relationship with yourself. Like, you know, you see all these other people who are successful in their own right, and we all have stuff going on. That's my car, it's not very happy. There we go. I'll take a receipt. Yes, please. I will have that receipt. Come on, Mr. Receipt. Okay. So, yeah, the relationship with oneself is so utterly important, and I think we all neglect that. I often used to feel like, and still do to some extent, I think that's probably shifted quite a bit this week, but I still felt like I was just listening to my language as those words were coming out, and I'm like, oh, that's not quite right. I always felt like I was a 9-year-old boy looking up, and all these older people would always know what they're doing. Now I'm 51, I'm no longer that 9-year-old boy, and I look 50, well, I think I look 51. Some people are amazed I'm 51, which is quite nice. But I still used to feel like that. And then you open your mouth and you realise people are listening, and you actually know what you're talking about. And some of that is just actually having confidence. Having that self-confidence in yourself to go, do you know what, I'm going to bet on me. Because if someone's going to let me down, I'd rather me let myself down than have someone else let myself down. You know, like, I get let down all the time by people, so why would I want that? Why don't I invest in myself, and there's a better chance that I'm not going to let myself down. And if I have let myself down, there's only one person I can blame, and that's me. It's about taking that personal responsibility. And really, that's what all these trainings are about. Not just this training, but everything I've ever done. All my training. It's about you spending your money on being a better person. Whatever way, shape or form you want that to be for you. That's what these trainings are about. And that's what I think everybody should go on. But, you know, I was jealous a little bit this week because people came with friends, or they came as a couple. And that's such a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I have done some of these trainings with my wife. And those were wonderful experiences. And I kind of jealous that I couldn't bring my wife along. Obviously, we have a 9-year-old today. It's her birthday. Came back for her birthday today. And this morning, couldn't miss that, obviously. So I left a day early as well. So missed last night's celebrations for the end of Billionaire Bootcamp. But there's something more important than that, which is my daughter's birthday, right? So we had to get back. But it would be nice taking wifey on these sort of courses. Obviously, with an 9-year-old in tow, that's a lot harder. But very interesting. We've got a big dark tunnel. Oh no, it's not that long actually. I was going to pause the video. So what else can I tell you about Billionaire Bootcamp? I think we need a conversation around, I know we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's about, most people think it's that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. If I was talking to a guy and he did, that's exactly what he got out of it. And maybe that's enough for him, right? But it's not the how-to. That's not why you come on a course like this. It's the more wispy, ethereal kind of things that you're going to get from a training course. Not not that do this, then you do that, then you do something else, and so on. And so you have to embrace that. And that, by the way, is a shift. That's a really difficult shift for some people. They really struggle with that because that's all the training we've ever done, right? You know, you go to school, there's no mindset training in school. You go learn how to do geography or maths or physics, whatever. It's this and then it's that and then it's the next bit. And you know, there's a set process, but there's no mindset, or there's nothing like that. And so that's really, really difficult for people to get their head around. So I would argue that actually the whole mindset stuff is the most important aspect out of all of that. Because you could learn a skill set, but you're going to run out of time. So unless you have the values and the belief system that you can put together a much bigger system and scale it, you might do okay. You might be able to make a living out of it, like a plumber, you know, and he plumbs all day, every day, right? But if you want to own a plumber's business where you've got 100 staff, there's a whole different level of thinking that's needed. Anyway, that was my very relaxed review of Billionaire Bootcamp now that I landed in Barcelona. Very, very good. If you want to sign up for it, just drop me a message. You know, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you've got, and I'll go through that with you. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll speak to you on the next one. Take care.